So the third part, what's our response going to be to this? Several different ways in which the Sabbath can be looked at. First of all, we consider it a day of resurrection. For Christian people, we moved the Sabbath from the seventh day to the first day, and we did that in order that we can mark and rejoice and celebrate in the day of resurrection every week. Easter Sunday is important, but actually every Sunday is Easter Day, as it were. We meet together, we rejoice in the fact that Christ was raised. So it is a day of resurrection. I guess there's a sort of parallel with the Jewish people in Deuteronomy when they were told to keep the Sabbath in order to mark and to remember how God had called them out of Egypt. So for ourselves as Christians, we meet together, we keep it as a Sabbath in order to mark what it is that Christ has done for us. So the Sabbath can be a day of resurrection. Secondly, it can be a day of rest. We all do things differently on a Sunday. We are, by definition, here, and therefore we have already done things differently. For many of us, we won't be going to work. Some people do go to work on a Sunday, which might be their choice, or might be that they have to because of the line of work that they're in. But I think that for many people, many Christian people, given a choice, Sunday is done differently. But maybe we need to think carefully about what rest means, because it's not just rest, it's also restoration. So what is it that we're going to put into a Sunday to be something positive, something that's going to restore us in some way? That might be physically, because we've been doing a job all week and we just take a break, put our feet up. It might be emotionally. Maybe we can meet up with people that we don't have an opportunity to do during the week. And it might be spiritually. Coming to church is one thing, but maybe there's an opportunity to listen to something that we don't have time to in other times of the week, or to read something. So rest doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing. Rest has an element of restoration as well. So how is it that we're going to use this day that God has given us, not only to remember what God has done for us, but also as a day of rest? And then thirdly, this is something that I didn't think about until 2 or 3 years ago. Sunday is largely, obviously not for everybody, but largely a day of economic inactivity. We go to work mostly Monday to Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, so Sunday in particular, is a day when we don't earn money. Now, the idea of this has been around for a long time. I read about it in a particular book by a person called Ched Myers, who picks up the idea that we live in a world where there isn't a shortage. Indeed, there is an excess, but that shortages come about because people, individual people and societies, have too much, and therefore it's not shared equally. And his argument is that by having a day, Sunday, when we don't earn money, we are sort of rebelling against the idea that we must earn as much as we can, we must make as much money as we can, we must gather as many goods as we can and have as many material objects as we possibly can. And by saying, no, on Sunday I'm going to step back and I'm not going to be earning money, and I'm not going to be gathering more goods and material objects around me, I'm going to do something completely different, that this is not only something that is honouring to God, it's also something that shakes the economic structures and systems that we are governed by. So that sounds very big and highfalutin. Let's just come back to the ploughing and the harvesting. In Exodus we read, "You must keep the Sabbath day even in ploughing and even in harvesting." In other words, if there is something critical that has to be done on that day, you must rest. You must leave it. You must let it go. Now, I don't know about you. I absolutely do not live by that. I am so good at saying, actually, I've got to do this today, because if I don't do this on this Sunday evening or this Sunday afternoon, then this will happen. It's really important that I do this, otherwise something's going to fall apart. And that starts with something that might be important, and then it gets less important and less important and even less important. And suddenly, my Sabbath, my Sunday, has become the same as Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And I have not used the time to rest. I have not used the time to be restored. And I have not used the time to remember what it is that Christ has done for me. So I'm not here to tell you what you should do with your Sabbaths. You will gather that I am no role model to follow anyway. But I do just want to raise this question with all of us, because I think sometimes in our Christian lives it's very easy to have something that we do and we carry on and it changes a bit, and we carry on, it changes, and we don't stop and think, am I still walking the path that God wants me to? Or do I need to stop and to change what I'm doing? Maybe we don't, maybe we do. I'll just leave you with this thought. The person who wrote this particular book is called The Biblical Vision of Sabbath Economics. So when I say it's a book, it's a very, very thin booklet, really. I have it on PDF. If anybody would like to read it, give me your email address and I will send it to you. It is radical. It makes you stop and think, oh my goodness, I need to really re-evaluate how I use my Sabbath, what it's saying about the economics of the world, what it's saying about my economics in my family. It makes us stop and think, maybe in the same way that those Jewish authorities were made to stop and think. Because we're so tied up with our little things, which are important, I'm not saying they're not important, but sometimes we need to raise our eyes. And just as Jesus did to those Jewish authorities and said, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. So maybe we need to have our eyes raised to think the Sabbath is not just a day when we come to church, wonderful, wonderful though that is. It's actually a whole 24 hours when we can remind ourselves of what Christ has done for us, will give us a day of rest and restoration, and make us consider how that fits into the way that people around the world and in our own community are treated. Before we turn to our prayers, we're going to sing again.